I'm talking about red flag complementarian beliefs in the church about the authority or leadership of the male gender, where the idea comes from, and another viewpoint to consider. Some complementarians believe men are in charge of women because they believe it represents Jesus being in charge of the church. This idea comes from the passage in 1 Corinthians 11:3 and Ephesians 5 about Jesus being the head of the church. The crux of this belief hangs on the word head and what it actually means. In Greek, that word kephale, translated head, has a meaning of source or beginning. For context, the Apostle Paul was talking about the Jewish creation story of God creating Eve from the same material as Adam and giving it to a Greek audience. The Greeks considered men and women different species, preferring the male species. So Paul calls men the source of women because he's demonstrating that men and women were actually made of the same identical material and source, and calls Jesus the source or origin of the church. He calls for mutual submission to each other and then tells wives to defer to and support their husbands, and 4 times for husbands to love their wives as their own body, reorienting his audience to a new way of unity that was foreign to their culture. He does not, however, mention that a husband was to lead or have authority over his wife. Food for thought: how does knowing the Greek view of male and female being different species, and then reading Paul's instructions to treat a wife's body as well as their own, influence your interpretation? If you read these verses using the word source or origin instead of the word head, how would that change their interpretation and meaning in your life?